Welcome. So in yesterday's ES video, I had explained that I wanted to see Tuesday's low be held in order to make a run up to 61.41. Well, overnight we hit a high, and actually on the right before cash market open, we hit a high of 61.4225. So that was today's pre-market high. And I had said that that would be the area that we were next up at, as long as Tuesday's low was holding and Wednesday's low was holding. If we need to recap the prior day's activity, we came down, took out Tuesday's low, base below it, recovered it, and the next target was basically the pre-market low of Thursday's session, which became our target once we recovered Tuesday's low. So if that was confusing, basically that was the area that provided the sell that happened here. So when this sell happened on Thursday, it was when 61.41 was taken out. It held a support multiple times. Here it held a support here, held a support here, held a support here, and then eventually collapsed. And its recovery would have propelled us back up to the top of this megaphone here, but we ultimately did not recover it. Remember I said level to level trading, so you want it to be long above Tuesday's low. You wanted an entry above Tuesday's low and be long up to 61.41. And level to level trading, that is a great trade. It's more than 20 points. However, on this channel, we usually take 10 points as we get them, and you can leave runners for more. If the recovery of 61.41 had happened, we could have ran all the way back up to even take out and make a new high today. I had explained that we were in a big bullish consolidation right here, as you can see, and we had a breakdown here that recovered, a breakdown of this low that recovered, and then a breakdown again of this prior low that recovered, but it ultimately based and then failed on the open today. Whenever you see basing like this, we never know if it's accumulation or distribution, and anyone that tells you that they know whether it's accumulation or distribution, I think they're guessing, because we don't know. But what we do know is in these ranges, we can take out these prior lows and use them as liquidity so that we can trade back in the bullish direction, because this is an overall bullish market. And as long as we were holding this megaphone pattern, I would have stayed bullish the entire time. So knowing the general direction and the pattern helps. Anyone who told you that it was an obvious short today, I'll tell you the only way you would have known to short today was our methods that I explained in the very first video. Is over every day on the morning at about 9:30 or just about, I'll map out the pre-market low of the session, the prior session, and the pre-market high of the overnight action before the market actually opens. So the overnight action low was 61.2725. So if I were to map out that low right here, it would be 61.27. Well, yep. Let's do 61.27. 61.27.25. We want to see it correlates with Wednesday's low. So in the overnight, here's what started the overnight session. We were just flagging all night long. It was a very tight flag. A breakout of the flag would have propelled us extremely higher. Or breakdown in the flag obviously brings us lower. First stop would be megaphone support. More on that later. Let's start with once Wednesday's low was given up. It was given up on the open. First 15-minute candle of the day closed below it. We tried to recover it on the 9:45 candle. Ultimately lost Tuesday's low there as well. One could have gotten short anywhere around here once you lost Tuesday's low, but I was watching for a recovery because, like I said, we have a cluster of lows here from the prior day. So you could have gotten short once you saw the pre-market low get back tested and ultimately failed. I did not take this short today because I wouldn't have shorted in the bullish context. I'll give you an example. So we are in this massive megaphone pattern as of today. And when we got down to the bottom of the megaphone pattern, which was the target, they put in a big bullish candle that recovered the megaphone and ultimately made a slightly higher move. So from the megaphone support, which came to correspond around 60.93, back up to 61.05 was the high here. So they put in about a 12-point bounce and ultimately lost the megaphone support. If you ever want to short ES, you have to look for a support that has been tested. You want to see it try a false breakdown. So this was the false break. This here was the false breakdown of the prior day's lows. They tried to recover it and it ultimately failed. This is where you can get short because they're trying to find demand at an area where prior demand was. And if you recall, I told you significant lows are when a new high is made or a nice rally was made. Would you consider this a significant low? I wouldn't, because we didn't run up and take out the high. We just back tested the pre-market low that caused the sell in the first place. So it would not have been a spot for me to get long. One could have stole some points here off the megaphone support, but it ultimately failed. Getting short on the megaphone loss after it's already attempted a recovery is the right move, because now you've assured there's no demand left. You won't get trapped after that most of the time. When you see a large structure get lost like that, you can't time the market on the way down. As you can see, we went straight down all day long. Once you lose a massive consolidation like this, which turned out to be distribution, you can sell for quite some time. And we got in some rare territory. We were down over 100 points today. So in general, you're probably just wondering what my lean is for Monday. I do think that we might get a spike of the 60-20 level before we make a move back up to back test some levels up here. My immediate lean here is, if we don't take out the 20 level, what I would like to see is a recovery of this zone here. I put a little box here just for us to see it. It comes in at about 60.36 to 60.42. Recovering that zone would be pretty important, because it was a zone that every time it was recovered, it produced a pretty big rally. So recovering that zone would at least give us our level to level move. First stop would probably be right here at 60.53 all the way up to maybe 60.56. In general, that would be enough for me, because I look for 10 points. So I would definitely have gotten more than 10 points if that recovery happens. What that would look like on a shorter time frame would be ES puts in a cluster here, which they did at the close. I think it might have been a trap. It recovers this area here and then propels back upwards. It can propel all the way back up to even as high as the low of the megaphone here, and back test it. And then what happens here is very important, because when we get back up to the megaphone, the bottom of the megaphone, if we recover it, we will propel extremely high, and this will be one big trap. But if we get to the megaphone and then back test and then sell, then one could assume that we were going to go a lot lower. But that's just big picture stuff. What I want to see in the immediate term is you have a cluster of lows here. ES loves to trap before it makes its move higher. If these lows get taken out on Monday or even Sunday night session, I would not short this. We are down a plenty of amount of points here. If they take out these lows, look for a trap and recovery, and it will propel higher. That would be what I look for on Monday, because the one thing about ES that I think everyone needs to understand is every elevator down has a sister called the short squeeze, and it is not far away. It sometimes will be the next day, which will be Monday session, or it'll even be Tuesday session. But what I will say to you is, you will not make a dime with those predictions. You will make money by taking a level to level move. And what that looks like is identifying a cluster of support identifying a trap below it and a recovery that then propels you higher. So you either recover this zone here or you trap below this zone here, recover it, hold it, and then you'll make a move back higher. Either way, we are going to snag our points that way. If for some odd reason we see a tape bomb on Sunday night that takes out this 60-20 low and this ultimately this 60-14 low that ultimately does recover, that is also another long right back up to the same zone. That would be a macro false breakdown. And if this zone gets taken out and recovered, it will be a pretty sizable squeeze that will happen whenever that does happen. But my general lean for Monday is we close the lows of the day. That could have been a late day trap that might recover, and then we make our move back higher again. Remember, we are in a structural bullish context. Don't forget the overall context. A day like this is pretty good at making you feel like things are in very bearish context. We are still in a massive consolidation. If I show you what the prior range is like, we have been stuck transversing this range for a very long time, since let's say the 16th of December. We have been just ping-ponging and we've been flirting with the highs of this range, and maybe now we can make a move to flirt with the lows of the range. However, we are still up above 60-20, above this level. As long as we hold above here, then all I can say is my general lean is that we're going to keep going higher. So I would like for you to stay focused on the bigger picture and look for longs off supports that you see are holding up. Our next significant low coming up will be this 60-20 area and this 60-14 area. ES would love to take out both these lows and recover and then make its run higher. It usually traps before it makes its move higher. I'll probably do a recap video on Sunday night, but I just wanted to bring this video to you today because we had a massive sell-off today. And I think that a lot of people want to know what happened. And if you remember, as long as we're below the pre-market low and we're holding below there, then you are not buying anything, because once we get under that shelf, it's a consolidation that's lost. First target was the megaphone support that ultimately tried a false breakdown bounce and ultimately failed. So with that said, I hope you learned something from this video, and there's just some big picture things, but in order for me to give you a general plan for Monday, which I'll probably develop on Sunday, but a general plan for Monday would be any recoveries of this cluster here will propel price higher, and we could backtest some of the zones where we broke down from. Ultimately, I could see us backtesting the bottom of the megaphone at some point on Monday or Tuesday. So with that said, stay tuned for Sunday's video. Thank you.